building off of the last video, what we're going to be doing next is creating our first page within our site directory. So kind of recapping from last time, what we did is we set up our site, which you can now see on the right hand side. We have our CSS folder and images folder. What we're going to do next is create our first page. So just a little of explanation on this. Your home page you call index.html, and whenever you upload your website to the internet or you run it locally through an Apache server, just running it in through terminal, your index page is generally, unless you've specified otherwise, the first page that is on your website, and that is the one that will open by default. So we're going to go ahead and make it. In order to do that, you're just going to right click in the site directory, and do not click images or CSS, because that will actually create it in that folder. So again, clicking on the site, we're going to create a new file. We're just going to go ahead and call this index. It's already got the HTML extension. You can change that, but for the sake of today, we're just going to be focusing on HTML. If you just click off of it, you'll see it goes ahead and creates that file. Now we're going to jump into a little bit of basic coding here, and more than anything, I'm going to show you from a building point of view, you don't necessarily have to start right away on the clicking, typically in Dreamweaver, that allows you to build objects. With new technologies incorporated into web editors like Emmet, you no longer have to do things like brackets and all of the syntax that was done back in the day. A lot of that can be pre-filled for you, and in this video I'm going to go and show you how simplified that process is now. So just double click your index.html file. And just for a little context here, what you're seeing is on the bottom your code view, on the top your live view. So you can see it already pre-populates some of the information here. What you're seeing here is basically default code that even when you don't put on a website, when rendering it in a browser, it will automatically put this contents in there. So you can see just right how it works. You have your HTML tags, which encloses everything, your head tags, as well as your meta description, which is the encoding. Essentially, if you don't have UTF-8 on your website, certain characters will render incorrectly, such as emojis or any special character that has an accent on top or anything of that nature. Next, you have your title tag, and this is the title of your site. So that would actually indicate on the top corner what the name of your page is. So we'll just go ahead and change that for now. We're going to change this later, but just to give you context, if you type into here my site, you now have a title for your website, and that will show on the tab on your icon of the name of it. So the head content is never actually rendered in the browser. It is information that stores metadata, which we will cover in later lessons, as well as information related to the name of the site. Where we're going to cover in the next few videos is inside the body, because this is the renderable elements that happen within the website. So you can see that there are brackets on this, and we're just going to cover this briefly for this video, and we're going to jump into it later. Typically, when you look at this, you may think you need to do first bracket there, and then type it in and close it off, and then it'll generate like that. But nowadays that's not really necessary. For example, if we wanted to have a header inside, you're seeing right now that what you get editor is thinking I'm writing text, but actually if I press the tab button, it automatically generates that tag, and you can see it puts it right in the middle, and you can go ahead and put text there if you wanted, and it starts rendering it into the interface. Just doing a few more examples, I really want to emphasize how simple it is to code now. So under your header, you may have a section, and you can type just that. If you typed in a section and press tab again, you're now starting to get a relatively straightforward way of architecting out your website. And here's a great thing too. What we're going to be covering in this course is also just easy ways to give yourself reminders. So not just by creating space, but you can actually do things like this is the header section of my site. And we obviously don't want that to show up on the interface, but we might want these comments in the code that we can later reference back. And if you just type, or hold rather, Control and backslash, you can see that that now comments out that code, makes it not viewable in here, but allows you to create little notes for yourself where you can say, for example, this is the end of the header, and then comment that out again. So when you want to reuse parts of this code, you know in the future that I can just highlight this section right here and paste it into another file. We're going to wrap it up here for this video. In the next part, we're going to cover a little more anatomy of code in terms of how you can apply unique names, which are classes and IDs, to your code. So later on, when you want to apply CSS, which is the design elements of your HTML, on how you can really organize this in an efficient manner that will allow you to have nice, structured, and visually pleasing code.